April 11th, 1981. A single scream pierces the silence of the Sierra Nevada mountains, but no one hears it. By morning, Cabin 28 is a slaughterhouse. A mother, her son, and their friend lie butchered. A 12-year-old girl, Tina Sharp, is gone without a trace. Two younger children sleep steps away untouched. The killer left no fingerprints, but they left every question. Was it a stranger? A neighbor? A monster hiding in plain sight? 40 years later, the case is colder than the mountain air. And the truth? It's still out there waiting to be found or buried forever. A remote cabin tucked deep in the woods of Northern California. Pine trees tower like silent sentinels. A creek murmurs in the dark. Inside Cabin 28, a single mother, Sue Sharp, unpacks groceries. Her 3 children laugh over a board game. Their friend, Dana Wingate, cracks a joke. It's April 1981, a fresh start, a quiet weekend getaway. But by dawn, the cabin's walls would bear witness to horrors no one could fathom. 3 of them would be dead. 1 would vanish without a trace. And a nightmare would begin. A nightmare that still haunts investigators, families, and true crime enthusiasts 4 decades later. What happened that night in Keddie cabin? Who shattered the peace of those woods with such unspeakable violence? And why, after 40 years, does the truth remain buried deep in the shadows of these mountains? This isn't just a cold case. It's a riddle wrapped in bloodstains and whispers. A puzzle where the pieces don't fit, and the box is empty. Sue Sharp was no stranger to hardship. A divorced mother of 5, she'd rented Cabin 28 to give her kids an escape, a chance to breathe. That Friday night, the cabin hummed with life. Sue's 15-year-old son, Johnny, joked with his friend Dana. 12-year-old Tina doodled in a notebook. Her younger siblings, Rick and Sheila, drifted to sleep upstairs. Neighbors later recalled seeing shadows move behind the curtains, hearing muffled voices, but no screams, no cries for help, just the ordinary sounds of a family settling in before the unthinkable arrived. By sunrise, the cabin's door hung open. A friend, coming to check on the family, froze in the threshold. What they found inside would stain Keddie forever. The Sierra Nevada mountains stretch endlessly under a twilight sky, their peaks still dusted with winter's snow. Nestled among the pines, just outside the tiny town of Keddie, California, sits Cabin 28. A modest, weathered structure with a sagging porch and curtains frayed at the edges. To Sue Sharp, a 36-year-old single mother of 5, it wasn't much, but it was a refuge. A chance to leave behind the chaos of her recent divorce, if only for a weekend. She'd packed up her kids, borrowed her brother's station wagon, and driven 3 hours into the wilderness. A fresh start, she hoped. A quiet reset. Sue wasn't alone. With her were 3 of her children. 15-year-old Johnny, quick with a smile and a joke. 12-year-old Tina, shy but curious, her nose often buried in a book. And 5-year-old Sheila, all pigtails and giggles. Her eldest daughter, 17-year-old Sheila. Yes, 2 Sheilas, a quirk of the family, had stayed behind. But joining them was Dana Wingate, Johnny's best friend. A lanky teenager with a mop of brown hair. Dana had tagged along for what they all assumed would be a weekend of fishing, board games, and maybe a campfire under the stars. That first evening felt ordinary. Sue unpacked groceries, a loaf of bread, a carton of eggs, a 6-pack of beer for herself. The kids claimed bedrooms upstairs, their laughter echoing through the cabin's thin walls. Johnny and Dana tossed a football in the clearing outside, their shouts cutting through the mountain silence. Tina scribbled in her diary by the fireplace, while Sheila chased shadows on the carpet, pretending they were dragons. Neighbors in nearby cabins later recalled seeing the lights glow warmly through the trees, hearing the occasional burst of laughter, smelling wood smoke from the chimney. It was peaceful, unremarkable, but the woods have a way of hiding things. Cabin 28 sat at the edge of the Keddie Resort, a cluster of vacation rentals that, by 1981, had seen better days. The resort was more of a ghost town, peeling paint, empty lots, and a general store that hadn't stocked fresh milk in years. The Sharps were nearly alone out there. To the west, just one other cabin was occupied. Marty Smart, a 38-year-old handyman with a temper, lived there with his girlfriend, Marilyn, and her young son. To the east, nothing but trees, rocks, and a winding dirt road that disappeared into the dark. Sue knew the risks of isolation. She'd grown up in these mountains, but she trusted the familiar, the creak of the porch swing, the way the stars burned brighter here than in the city. What she didn't know was that the cabin's previous renters had complained. Strange noises at night, footprints in the mud that didn't match their own, a lingering sense of being watched. But those stories stayed buried. No one wanted to scare off tourists. As night fell, the sharps settled in. Sue sipped her beer, flipping through a magazine. Johnny and Dana sprawled on the living room floor, arguing over a chess match. Tina hummed to herself as she sketched. Sheila, exhausted from the drive, fell asleep upstairs in a narrow twin bed. The cabin's old wiring buzzed faintly. A draft seeped through the windows. Outside, the woods grew alive. Branches scraped against the roof. An owl screeched in the distance. Down the hill, Marty Smart's cabin sat dark and silent. Earlier that day, he'd argued with Sue, something trivial about noise, according to witnesses. But Marty had a reputation, a heavy drinker, a man who carried a knife on his belt, just in case. His girlfriend would later tell police he'd been acting strangely that week. Agitated, paranoid. Did he watch them that night? Did someone else? Around 10 p.m., the laughter died down. Sue tucked Sheila into bed. Johnny and Dana, too wired to sleep, stayed up whispering about girls and school and whether Bigfoot was real. Tina read a Nancy Drew novel by flashlight, the beam casting shadows on the ceiling. The cabin's lights flickered once, twice, then went out. Power outages weren't uncommon in Keddie. Sue lit a candle. Johnny joked about ghosts. Somewhere in the darkness, a dog barked, a long, mournful sound. Tina later wrote in her diary that she felt uneasy. Like something's wrong, she scribbled. But Mom says I'm being dramatic. Midnight came and went. What happened next is a void, a black hole in the timeline. No screams were heard. No doors slammed. The two youngest children, Sheila and her cousin, who was asleep in another room, remember nothing. But we know this. Sometime between midnight and dawn, at least 2 people entered cabin 28. They brought weapons, a knife, a hammer, maybe a gun. They moved with purpose. Sue, Johnny, and Dana were in the living room. Did they fight back? Was there pleading? The evidence suggests it was fast. Brutal. Tina's diary was found open on the couch, her pencil still tucked between the pages. Outside, the woods kept their secrets. The creek swallowed any cries. The pines stood motionless. By sunrise, the killers were gone. So was Tina. When dawn broke on April 12, 1981, the cabin's door hung slightly open. A neighbor, coming to borrow sugar, froze on the porch. Inside, the air smelled metallic. Flies buzzed. 3 bodies lay contorted on the floor, bound with lamp wire and duct tape. Tina's bed was empty, her pajamas folded neatly at the foot. Upstairs, the 2 youngest children still slept. They never woke their aunt. They never heard a thing. Morning light filters through the pines. Birds chirp. A breeze carries the smell of fresh coffee from a nearby cabin. But inside cabin 28, time has stopped. A friend walks up the porch steps, calling Sue's name. No answer. The door creaks open, and in that split second, a tranquil mountain morning shatters into a scene from hell. April 12, 1981. Just after 8 a.m., Justin Levier, a family friend, knocks on cabin 28's door. Sue had promised to make pancakes for the kids, but the cabin is eerily quiet. No radio playing, no footsteps, just the groan of the door as Justin pushes it open. The living room is a nightmare. Sue Sharp lies on the floor, her body twisted in a pool of dried blood. Her wrists and ankles bound with lamp wire. A pillowcase, crusted with blood, covers her head. Beside her, 15-year-old Johnny Sharp and his friend Dana Wingate are slumped against the couch. Their faces unrecognizable, shattered by blows from a hammer. Dana's hands are tied behind his back with a strip of torn bedsheet. The carpet is soaked crimson. Flies swarm. Upstairs, 5-year-old Sheila and her cousin sleep soundly in their beds. Blankets tucked under their chins. Toys scattered on the floor. They don't stir. They don't cry. They have no idea their mother, brother, and friend are dead, or that 12-year-old Tina is gone. Panicked, Justin stumbles to the neighbor's cabin. "Call the police," he shouts. Something's wrong, really wrong. Deputies arrive within minutes, but what they find defies logic. The violence is frenzied, personal. Sue's body shows stab wounds deep enough to puncture bone. Johnny's skull is caved in, Dana's throat slashed. Yet the 2 youngest children, just steps away, are untouched. No blood on their pajamas, no footprints near their beds. It's as if the killers didn't know they were there, or didn't care. And Tina? Her bed is empty, her floral print nightgown folded neatly at the foot. Her diary lies open on the living room couch, a half-finished sketch of the cabin's fireplace on the page. Pencil still tucked in the spine. The evidence is a mess of contradictions. A blood-stained hammer rests near Dana's body, but no fingerprints. A shotgun sheath, empty, sits on the kitchen counter. Cigarette butts litter the porch, but none match the family's brand. Neighbors whisper about strangers. A man in a plaid jacket seen lurking near the cabin. Another with a limp, pacing the road that night. But the most chilling detail? The killers took time to stage the scene. Sue's body is dragged into the center of the room. Johnny and Dana arranged side by side as if posed. A butcher knife left upright in the couch cushions. And the cabin's phone line, cut clean through. This wasn't a random act. It was a message. The surviving children are rushed to the hospital. Sheila, just 5 years old, tells nurses she slept through the monsters. Her cousin remembers nothing. No screams. No footsteps. Not even the sound of Tina being taken. For days, search teams comb the woods. Bloodhounds hit on Tina's scent, then lose it near the creek. Flyers plaster the town. Missing, Tina Sharp 12. Last seen in Keddie Cabin 28. But the mountains keep their secrets. The questions pile up. Why bind Sue and Dana, but not Johnny? Why take Tina? Was she a witness? A target? And why spare the younger kids? Was it mercy or a cruel joke? The sheriff's department insists they're following leads. But within weeks, the case stalls. Evidence vanishes. The hammer disappears from the locker. The shotgun sheath is never tested for DNA. Witnesses claim they're brushed off. Rumors spread, someone's hiding something. And Tina? She's still out there, waiting. In the wake of a massacre, you'd expect chaos. Sirens, swarms of investigators. But in Keddie, what followed the murders was something far worse: silence. Evidence vanished. Witnesses were ignored. Files disappeared into thin air. And when the sheriff's own son finally spoke up decades later, he didn't bring answers. He brought a confession. April 12, 1981. Plumas County Sheriff's deputies swarm Cabin 28. They photograph the bodies, bag the hammer, collect cigarette butts from the porch. But within hours, the investigation begins to unravel. The hammer, the one found near Dana's body, crusted with blood and hair, is logged into evidence. Then it's gone. No paperwork. No chain of custody. Just gone. The empty shotgun sheath? Never tested for fingerprints. The cigarette butts? Tossed into a file cabinet, forgotten. Neighbors come forward with stories. A man in a blue jacket seen fleeing the cabin. A pickup truck idling nearby that night. But deputies don't follow up. Don't take formal statements. One witness later claims, "They acted like I was bothering them." Within days, rumors spread through Keddie. Marty Smart, the hot-tempered neighbor, is questioned. His girlfriend, Marilyn, tells police Marty came home that night with scratches on his face. Blood on his jeans. "I did something terrible," he allegedly told her. But deputies let him go. No search warrant. No alibi checked. Why? Marty's best friend, Bo Bubade, brags at a bar weeks later. "Marty and I took care of some business," he says, grinning. But when detectives finally track Bo down, he laughs. "Just a joke, guys. No follow-up. No pressure." Marty dies of cancer in 2000. Bo dies in a car crash in 2008. Both take their secrets to the grave. For years, the case gathers dust. The Sharp family begs for updates, but the sheriff's office shrugs. Active investigation, they say. Yet no one's assigned to it. Files go missing from storage. Crime scene photos vanish. Even Sue's autopsy report is incomplete. Pages torn out, cause of death vaguely listed as sharp force trauma. Then in 2004, a bombshell. Mike Gamberg, the son of former Plumas County Sheriff Doug Gamberg, steps forward. His father, he claims, hid evidence. Stashed files in their garage. Told him, "Some things are better left buried." When Mike asks why, his father snaps. "You don't want to know." The sheriff's office denies it. Calls Mike a liar. The files, if they ever existed, are never found. 2016. A hiker stumbles over a human skull near Feather River, 90 miles from Keddie. Dental records confirm it's Tina Sharp. Finally a break, or so it seems. But Tina's remains offer no clues. No clothing. No signs of how she died. Just a skull, weathered by 35 years of rain and snow. The discovery reopens old wounds, but not the case. Why wasn't the area searched back in 1981? Why did it take a tourist to find what trained investigators missed? The sheriff's office has no answers. Only excuses. Over 4 decades, the theories multiply. Was it a drug hit? Sue's ex-husband seeking revenge? A drifter passing through? But the most persistent rumor is the hardest to swallow. The police knew. Knew Marty did it. Knew Bo helped. knew the cabin's isolation made it the perfect crime. But protecting the town's reputation, or one of their own, mattered more than justice. Today, the evidence that remains fits in a single cardboard box. A few photos, a dusty case file. No hammer, no sheath, no phone records, just whispers and what-ifs. The Sharp family's plea is simple. Tell us the truth. But in Keddie, the truth isn't missing, it's buried. In a small town, everyone knows everyone. But after the Keddie murders, neighbors stopped trusting neighbors. Friends became suspects. And the truth? It dissolved into a hall of mirrors, where every reflection lied. Marty Smart lived 50 feet from Cabin 28. A broad-shouldered handyman with a reputation for brawls and booze. He'd been the Sharps' neighbor for less than a month. But on the night of the murders, Marty's girlfriend, Marilyn, noticed something off. He left their cabin around midnight, returned hours later, trembling, his jeans splattered with dark stains. "I did something awful tonight," he told her. "But I had to." When deputies questioned Marty, he smirked, claimed he'd been drinking alone. No alibi, no witnesses. His cabin was never searched. His clothes never tested for blood. Why? Because Marty had friends in high places. His father was a respected local. His brother worked for the county. Rumors swirled that the sheriff's office protected him. A good OL boy getting a pass. But without evidence, Marty walked free. Then there was Beau Babade, Marty's roommate, a drifter with a crooked grin and a love for trouble. Weeks after the murders, Beau stumbled into a bar, drunk and loud. "Me and Marty took care of those people," he slurred to patrons. They had it coming. No one reported it. Not until years later. By then, Beau had vanished. When detectives finally tracked him down, he laughed. "You really think I'd hurt kids?" he said. No further questions. No polygraph. Just another dead end. But Marty and Beau weren't the only ghosts in Keddie. A drifter named Jack Davis had rolled into town days before the murders. Unshaven. Paranoid. He'd been seen arguing with Sue at the general store over a misplaced $20 bill. "You'll regret this," he hissed. After the killings, Davis disappeared. Some say he fled to Nevada. Others insist he's buried in the woods. Then there's the drug angle. Sue's ex-husband, Jim Sharp, hinted she'd gotten mixed up with dealers. She owed people money, he told police. But Jim himself was no saint, a violent man with a history of threats. Yet he had an alibi, drinking in a bar 100 miles away. Even the sheriff's department wasn't spared suspicion. A deputy, rumored to have ties to local meth rings, quit abruptly 6 months after the murders, packed his family and left town. Coincidence? Or confession? But the most haunting theory is the simplest: revenge. Sue's eldest daughter, Sheila, believes Marty targeted the family over noise complaints. "He hated us," she says. Others think it was personal. Sue had rebuffed Marty's advances at a town barbecue. A bruised ego turned lethal. But why Tina? Why take her? Some say she witnessed the murders, that she ran and they chased her. Others think she was the target all along, a predator's crime disguised as chaos. But without her body, it's all guesswork. Marty died in 2000, lung cancer. On his deathbed, he confessed, but not to murder. "I know who did it," he whispered to his brother. "But I'll take that name to hell." Beau died in 2008, a car crash on a foggy highway. No note, no deathbed revelations, just a coffin draped in unanswered questions. The other suspects faded into myth. Jack Davis became a campfire story, the drug dealer a rumor. Sue's ex-husband died in 2015, his secrets rotting with him. 40 years later, the truth is a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing. Was it a feud? A thrill kill? A cover-up? In Keddie, the only thing louder than the lies is the silence. 40 years. For decades of whispers, dead ends, and broken promises. 3 lives stolen. 1 child vanished. Countless lies. Yet the heart of this mystery remains frozen, untouched by time. Why can't we solve the Keddie murders? Is the truth too brutal to face? Or is someone making sure it stays buried? The question isn't what happened in Cabin 28, it's why. Why Sue? A single mother with no enemies, scraping by on waitress wages. Why Johnny and Dana? Teenagers with dirt bikes and summer jobs. Why take Tina? A quiet girl who loved horses and drawing. Nothing about this fits. No robbery, no sexual assault. Just violence, raw and senseless. Was it random? A thrill kill by strangers passing through? Or something personal? A message carved in blood? Sue's family believes she was targeted. Her daughter, Sheila, still remembers the phone calls. A man kept threatening Mom before the trip, she says. He'd hang up when I answered, but the sheriff's office lost the phone records. No traces, no leads. Then there's Tina. For 35 years, she was a ghost. No body, no grave, just a missing poster fading on a bulletin board. Until 2016, when a hiker found her skull near Camp Far West Lake, 100 miles from Keddie. How did she get there? Was she kept alive for years or killed that night and dumped? The bones don't speak. And why there? The lake is a known party spot, remote and rugged. Did the killer have ties to the area? Or was it a taunt, a way to say, "You'll never find her"? The evidence, or lack of it, haunts the case. The hammer, the shotgun sheath, cigarette butts, all vanished from custody. The original lead detective quit abruptly, took his notes, and refused to speak. Even the cabin itself was demolished in 2004, its debris hauled to a landfill. Lost, misfiled, destroyed in a flood. The excuses pile up, but families don't buy it. Someone didn't want this solved, Sue's brother says. They made damn sure of it. Conspiracies thrive in the void. Some claim it was a drug hit. Sue's ex-husband owed money to a cartel. Others whisper about the occult. Symbols carved into the cabin's floorboards, a local cult obsessed with sacrifice. Then there's the darkest theory, that a deputy was involved, that the blue jacket seen fleeing the cabin matched their uniform. But the loudest theory is also the quietest. People know. They've always known. A 2004 letter sent to the Sharp family, postmarked from Keddie, reads, "Marty did it. Bo helped." The cops covered it up. But the sheriff's office dismisses it as a prank. For the families, the why doesn't matter anymore. They're trapped in a loop of grief. Sheila, who slept through the murders, battles guilt. Why didn't I wake up? Tina's sister, Jody, stares at her phone, hoping for a call that'll never come. I used to pray she was alive, she says. Now I pray she didn't suffer. Sue's granddaughter, born decades after the murders, carries her photo. I just want to know her, she says. But all I have is a headstone. So why can't we solve this? Is it incompetence? Corruption? Or the simple truth that some monsters wear human faces? Neighbors, friends, even protectors, and the world would rather look away? The answer, like Tina's remains, is scattered, waiting for someone brave enough to piece it together. The woods have reclaimed Cabin 28. Splinters of its foundation rot beneath ferns and pine needles. No plaques, no memorials, just silence. But sometimes, if you listen closely, you can hear the echoes of laughter that once filled those rooms, of screams that never escaped them, and of a question that refuses to die. Why does Keddie still haunt us? In 2004, the Keddie Resort's new owner bulldozed Cabin 28. Too many gawkers, they said. Too many nightmares. Today, the lot sits empty, a patch of dirt where a family's life unraveled. But erasing the cabin didn't erase the story. If anything, it set the mystery free. Podcasts dissect every rumor. Documentaries spotlight faded case files. Amateur sleuths hike into the mountains with shovels and drones, convinced they'll find Tina's remains, or the killer's confession, buried in the mud. Online forums buzz with theories. Marty's ghost walks the trail at night. The sheriff's hiding a box of evidence. For true crime fans, Keddie is a riddle to solve. For locals, a shadow they can't shake. But for the victims' families, it's not a puzzle or a ghost story. It's a wound that won't close. Sheila Sharp, the little girl who slept through the murders, is now a grandmother. She still visits Keddie sometimes, stands in the empty lot where her mother died. I close my eyes and I can smell her perfume, she says. Hear Johnny's laugh. But when I open them, there's nothing. Tina's sister, Jody, keeps a binder thick with letters to politicians, detectives, even the FBI. They never write back, she admits. But I have to try. For Tina. For them, the internet's obsession feels hollow. Armchair detectives debating clues over coffee while they're stuck in an endless April 1981. So why does Keddie matter? Because it's a mirror, a reflection of our darkest fears, that evil can walk among us unseen, that justice isn't guaranteed, that a mother, a brother, a friend, a child can vanish, and the world just moves on. But it's also a testament to stubborn hope. In 2018, a volunteer group used ground-penetrating radar near the cabin site. They found nothing, but they looked. In 2020, a retired detective spent his savings retesting a single hair from the crime scene. No match, but he tried. The truth is out there. Maybe in a dusty attic box labeled Keddie, do not open. Maybe in the guilty conscience of an old man, staring at the mountains he'll never confess to. Or maybe in Tina's lost diary, pages torn out, hidden under someone's floorboards. But time is running out. Witnesses die. Memories fade. The sheriff's deputies who botched the case retire, then pass away. Even the pine trees that sheltered Cabin 28 are slowly falling to wildfires and storms. Keddie matters because it's a warning, a reminder that evil doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's silent. A creak on the porch, a flicker of movement in the trees, a knock on the door that shouldn't be there. And long after the cabin's gone, its echoes still whisper. Who's next? Close your eyes. Listen. The wind threading through the pines isn't just wind. It's a breath from the past, a sigh from 4 souls who never got to speak. 40 years have turned their screams into whispers. But in these woods, whispers are the loudest sound of all. For decades have passed since the blood dried on Cabin 28's floors. Sue Sharp's laughter has faded from these trees. Johnny's football sits deflated in some landfill. Dana's name survives only on a weathered grave marker. And Tina? Tina exists in fragments. A skull, a diary entry, a child's face frozen in 1981. The cabin is gone now, but its ghost lingers. You can't demolish a nightmare. Walk the empty lot where Cabin 28 once stood, and you'll feel it, the weight of questions left hanging. Why them? Why here? Why nothing? The case files have gone dusty, but the ache hasn't. For the families, every birthday, every holiday is a fresh bruise. A mother's empty chair at Thanksgiving. A granddaughter who knows her grandfather only through crime scene photos. The killer's face is a blur, a shadow in the pines, maybe a neighbor, a drifter, a friend, or a stranger who vanished into the fog of time. Their motives? A riddle wrapped in a myth. Revenge? Rage? Or something colder? A hunger to erase lives simply because they could? But here's the truth that chills. Whoever did this walked among us, ate in diners, pumped gas, grew old. Maybe they're still here, tending gardens, rocking grandkids to sleep, while Sue's family tends to graves. The answers are out there. Buried in these woods, perhaps, a shred of Tina's nightgown snagged on a branch. A confession scribbled in a journal, hidden under a floorboard. Or maybe in the trembling hands of someone who stayed silent for 40 years, their guilt a tumor gnawing at their bones. But time is a thief. Witnesses die. Memories warp. Evidence crumbles to dust. With every passing year, the truth sinks deeper, into the soil, into silence, into the quiet complicity of a town that's tired of being haunted. For the Sharps, closure is a fairy tale. You don't move on, says Sue's daughter. You move around it, like a boulder in your living room. Tina's siblings still set a plate for her at Christmas. They still dream of her knocking on the door, 12 years old and smiling, asking, "Why'd you stop looking?" So the pines keep whispering, the creek keeps murmuring, and the Keddie cabin murders remain a locked door, rusted shut by time, fear, and secrets. Behind it, the truth, or maybe just more darkness. But until someone finds the key, we're left with the echo of that awful, unanswerable question. How many more sunrises will pass before the shadows finally talk?